My training over the years, the way it's evolved is when I first started training, it was for football or to get bigger and for football in high school. And really that's how I trained until, I played through college. So until I was 22, that's all my focus was, so it was more, I do things like hang cleans, clean jerks, power shrugs, and I would, a lot of agility type things or explosive sprint type work mixed in with the workout, real core training, squats, deadlifts. I always did, curls for the girls and stuff, but really it was sports oriented training. And then after football, it really transitioned to, I decided I wanted to do bodybuilding. The only problem was at that point I've been training for 8 years. I know I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but the only way I knew how to train was to train heavy, try to get stronger every workout, and train like kind of a mix between powerlifting and strongman. And so I really struggled with trying to train like a bodybuilder because I just couldn't do the like pump workouts and cable stuff, and so I still always trained heavy, but I'd started splitting my body into bodybuilder, like a leg day, a chest day, a back day, instead of like a push-pull type thing, and so it struggled, and even when I still just always kind of trained like a power lifter, and eventually I think I wrote a couple articles and they titled the name Power Bodybuilding or Power Building or something. I guess I still have always trained that way. I did my first powerlifting meet. I trained the exact same way all the way up to the day of the meet as I trained for a bodybuilding show. And I guess kind of the way my training is now, if I had to like describe the power bodybuilding, is I pretty much go in and my first movement for any of the major groups, back or chest or legs, is I'm a power lifter. I go in on leg day and I squat and I warm up slowly like a powerlifter does, and I build up, 135, 225, 315, 405, and eventually leads out to my max effort, whatever it is. It might be more or less one set where I might try to get 585 for 6, and that's that whole workout is I'm a powerlifter trying to get stronger. Then after that, I think I kind of transitioned to kind of switch gears. Well, maybe for something like legs, I would do something like stiff leg deadlifts or good mornings also, which I'm still kind of in the mindset of a power lifter. But after those core movements, then I kind of switch gears and I'm not worried about the weight as much, and I train like a bodybuilder. And I kind of, I guess I'll use chest as an example. I kind of finish with like at the end kind of a combination muscle group exercise. So for example, for chest, I'd come in and I do bench. And I warm up my shoulders and do all this stuff just like foam roll or whatever, like I would be a power lifter, like it's my bench day. Now, instead of spending all day in bench and maybe doing 20 sets of really low reps over the course of 2 hours, I move through it quicker, but I'll do 135, 225, 315, and then maybe when I'm stronger, 405 for one set of, or maybe 405 with bands for a set of 6 with red bands, and then that's it for bench. But I trained that whole point. The whole point was I was a power lifter, and then from there I'll go and I maybe do incline barbell and then I'm 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12, and then maybe flat dumbbell 3 sets of 12 reps, and then maybe cable crossovers. And I kind of do a couple more power movements, compound movements like incline, bench, flat dumbbell, and then I'll do kind of a pump movement where I do the cable crossovers, and I might do 3 or 4 sets. I don't even really count. Sometimes I might do 5 sets, and those reps are like 10, 12, 15, even all the way up to 20 reps. And the whole point is what all the bodybuilders always talk about, like blood volume. And then at the end, I'll finish with something like dips almost always. And I think dips, when I'm thinking dips, is I'm hitting chest, hitting a little bit of shoulders, and getting blood in the triceps also. And that's kind of my finishing thing. And then really, it was never intended to be that way, but that's just how my workouts go. So, on back, it would be, I come in, I'm doing deadlifts, and I'm basically a power lifter. I have a goal of, I want to hit a PR, I want to hit it, whatever my goal is, hit this much weight for this many reps. And then after that, then I go through my back workout with compound movements, and then I'll finish with kind of like that blood volume thing, and I'll finish with something like seated rope rows. And then at the end, I might do some kind of compound movement like Romanian deadlifts or something. And it was never planned on doing that. I just kind of realized as I was training people doing nutrition work, and eventually people want training routines also, I kind of, as I'm writing out these routines, I realized that follows this pattern. And that's kind of, I guess, what the power bodybuilding pattern would be is, exercise 1 is I'm almost like a power lifter. Maybe not a power lifter where I'm shooting for singles or shooting for a PR, eventual meet day PR of a single, but I'm shooting to get stronger for low reps on a compound core powerlifting movement. And then after that, I'm a bodybuilder. and then I finish with some kind of blood volume thing, and then I do kind of a multi body part, like I said, with dips or something like that, or walking lunges for legs. I feel I think there is. I don't know what it is, and I've had people when I do photo shoots or videos that they tell me I have a certain dense or hardness look or some kind of, you know, no one as a bodybuilder ever, they always look at themselves and feel like they're smaller than everyone else. So I always can't tell what they're talking about, but I can definitely tell when I am around other bodybuilders who train hard and heavy. I mean, I think you look at someone like Ronnie Coleman, and there's just something different about his muscles than say like a Flex Wheeler or something. And I think there is, or Johnny Jackson, you know, you can tell he's done heavy deadlifts. There's just something that looks like, you know, it looks like you could take your 22 and shoot him in the back and he'd hardly notice that anything happened. Yeah, I think it definitely does. And I think it helped too. I mean, when I went back to school, I didn't train for 6 years, and I still would, I never really dropped below about 230, 235. I mean, I wasn't like a lean 230, but still walking around school, I would get comments about working out, or, you know, ask me what my workout was, and, you know, where I hadn't even stepped foot in a gym for 5 years. I think there is something that sticks with you with it, and I think there's some kind of core strength, thickness, I don't know, maybe, you know, like you look at a guy's arm that trains heavy, you know, like you look at, there's plenty of bodybuilders with big biceps and big triceps, but you look at someone who trains really heavy and has held 700-pound deadlifts, there's just kind of a look to their forearms and a thickness to the arm that I think you don't get from pump movements. You might get nice, round, pretty muscles, but there's kind of just a thick overall, which I think looks cool. I mean, when I first started training, even when I said I trained more powerlifting and strongman type style for football, but even, you know, you still want to look big, but the kind of look I always wanted was like a Bill Kazmaier or something that looked powerful. I didn't want to just look like, you know, round and balloony. I wanted to look, you know, I wanted to be strong and look strong. You see some guys you look and it looks like, you know, they got that big round muscle, but it looks like you could go 2 knuckles deep with your finger squishing in. And then there's other guys, it looks like you touch the muscle and it would be like hitting a brick wall. Yeah, Branch Warren, yeah, that grainy, hard look. You could tell he puts the work in the gym. 0. And actually, in some things, like some of my, usually for squats, most of my best workouts with squats, I think because I'm less bloated, my lower back is less tight. Actually, I get my best like squat workouts probably halfway through a diet, somewhere between, you know, 8 and 12 weeks out. But yeah, nothing trains at all. I still do the same thing, and I never really lose I stay fairly lean in the off season. I never really lose a lot of weight pre-contest. I mean, there reaches a point where you start getting really lean and low in calories, low in carbs, and depleted, where it's just not smart to try to squat 600 pounds. But I still train the same, and I still train hard and heavy.
Okay. And how do you divide up body parts, and how frequently do you?
Right now, I'm training a split. I do 5 days a week. I do chest. Let's say I start on Monday. It doesn't really matter, but say chest Monday, then back Tuesday, then I take Wednesday off, then Thursday would be arms, Friday would be shoulders, Saturday would be legs, and Sunday off. So I do 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. And part of it is I have some kind of autoimmune issue, which I was having, which is part of why I left the sport years ago, where my body attacks my muscles. It kind of views the damage from training as a foreign body and kind of creates an immune response to it. And really, after about 3 days in a row of training, I start getting like little mini fevers. So that's really part of the reason I do it. I break it up chest and back 2 days in a row. Then if I trained a 3rd day, I would start running into fevers, so I take that day off. Then I do 2 easy groups, arms and then shoulders, before hitting legs, and then I have another day off to recover. I prefer a training partner when it's the right training partner. I mean, training with Steve Kukla, I used to get some great workouts. Training with Mike Hickey when I was a kid, I had some great workouts. But in the absence of a really good training partner, I'd rather train alone than train with. If you train with a training partner who's not willing to work hard, and unfortunately, I feel a lot of the bodybuilders don't want to train hard. They don't like to start out like a powerlifter. They don't want to. They're always worried about getting injured or getting hurt, or they want to go right to the pumping stuff. So, I mean, a good training partner is better than training alone, but training alone is better than training with a bad training partner. Yeah, muscle memory, definitely. I mean, I started out training again, I mean, I guess 4 or 5 months ago, and it's August now. I started training again in April, and I mean, muscle memory came back quick. I went from 235 to 245 within a matter of, 2 or 3 weeks, and got leaner. I stayed at 245 for a while. I struggled with my appetite, but I eventually got pretty lean at 245, and then started climbing again once my appetite kicked in after a while, and back up to about 265, which is, I mean, at this body fat in my peak, I was probably around 285, and I'm maybe around 260, 262 right now. So I'm about 20, 25 pounds below my peak, which, you know, was quick. I mean, part of me was hoping, I think, probably delusionally, that I would, you know, it'd only take 3 months and I'd be back huge again. But it's gone a lot quicker. And I think a lot of it is my strength came back much quicker, probably too quick because I've had some little injuries, but my strength came back much quicker than the size did. And I think I attribute that to the hard, heavy training. I think that background in powerlifting is something that I think your body just remembers. There was, you know, for 15 years it needed to be strong for some reason. And I think your body remembers that really quick. And I always say, you know, that strength comes, size is going to come. You know, if you can want small legs, but if you're squatting 500 pounds for sets of 12, you're going to have big legs, whether you want them or not. And so I think that's you know, that foundation of strength has helped a lot with coming back. Yeah, I mean, for almost every body part, I have different types of things that I do. I have, you know, YouTube videos of a bunch of them, but they're just little isolation type things, like certain way bent over rows, where I do bent over rows, but instead of doing them normally, I'll stand on a box and I'll stay way bent over. So it ends up almost, the way your body's tilted down, it ends up almost being like a pull down, but you're doing a row against gravity. I do seated rope rows with the same thing, where I stay way forward and I actually round my upper back. A lot of little tricep things I do. I think my triceps became a standout body part. Some of the things I would do for them would be press downs, cable press downs, but with a wide grip, and I cram my elbows in tight against my side. I felt like that really hit the long head of the triceps, which is the largest head of the 3 heads. I do cable overhead extensions. I have a couple videos of that on Elite, actually, where I do cable overhead extensions with my hands apart, and then as I reach failure, I put my hands together on the positive, where you get a little bit more leverage as you get weaker, and then keep them back apart on the negative. And then eventually when I reach failure that way, I kind of keep them together at the top and just bang out a few more reps. So it's almost like 3 sets in a row, kind of like a rest pause type thing. I don't really have any for chest, which might be why my chest is one of my worst body parts. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any. I've never been one of those like unique exercise finesse, here's the specialty thing that I use to bring out the outer head of my hamstring. I just kind of figure go in, get heavy, get strong. If you're doing a set of 10 with 600 pounds on deadlifts, you're going to have a big, thick back. You can want a skinny little back, but it's not going to happen at that point. And I just always took that philosophy: get strong on the basic lifts, and you're going to get big. The progress, there's just something. Maybe I get a bigger endorphin kick than a lot of people, but there's just something about whatever your day's like. There's having that knowing at the end of the work day or whatever, you get to go to the gym, and then you don't want to go there, you don't feel like training, but you get there and you start getting the blood flowing, and you start feeling strong, and just kind of get that testosterone surge. Or I don't know what it is. You just that competitive thing that. Growing up, you have sports, you're always playing football or baseball or something, and there's always competition, and always, getting in wrestling or getting in fights with your friends, or who knows what, but there's just always something that kind of fuels that. And then you become an adult and you have kids, and you just don't have that anymore. You wake up, you cook pancakes for breakfast, and, mow the lawn and go to bed, and there's just never, you don't ever get that feeling of, I think something that, guys just have inside of them, some kind of aggression just to get out that you can't ever get out. And that's what I love about training. There's just that feeling of you finish a set, you finish a set at 500 pounds on squats and you can't breathe and you just hurt and you feel exhausted, and it should feel horrible, but it doesn't. It feels great.